Hi, I'll pick up where I left off in the last video on the chapter on the brace from Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach's Versuch über die wahre Art das Klavier zu spielen. Then there's the advice Bach gives for indicating the placement of the brace after a long note, to which more left-hand notes or alternatively rests are played. Wenn ein Doppelschlag nach einer etwas langsamen Note vorkommt, wozu entweder zwei oder mehrere Bassnoten angeschlagen werden oder wozu statt der Noten auch Pausen gehören, a, so teilt man diese Note wegen mehrerer Deutlichkeit und hängt diese zwei Teile mit einem Bogen zusammen, damit sie nur einmal angeschlagen werden. Man sieht alsdann ganz deutlich, wenn der Doppelschlag eintreten soll, b. Außerdem könnte mancher Ungeübter mit dieser Manier zuseitig zuplatzen und wäre alsdann genötigt, nicht zu viel Zeit leer zu lassen, sie, wieder die im 10. Paragraph gegebene Regel, zu langsam vorzutragen, welches eine schlechte Ausnahme verursacht. This again will be for composers. Bach talks about the inexperienced player, the novice, der Ungeübter. So that is the one without practice. Yeah, so in the example that Bach provides, one could imagine the Lilliput teacher telling their student to come in with the turn with the B in the left hand. And again, it's the soprano clef. And the student would. So the student would, when the left hand, the B in the left hand comes in with that, the student would play the brace in the right hand or the turn in the right hand. And what they'd invariably be doing is they'd be filling in the time of that B with their turn. And it would be a turn and not a brace, in that it will be slow. One can see how B would already help them. And this, even though it's all a lesson for Kissin, I said there'll be a lesson for Kissin, and this would happen in Kissin's lesson with Bach. So, let's say Kissin were to play it so as it is in the second example of B, in that his turn fills out the 16th note. The lesson he'd be getting from Bach would be that if Kissin wants to play a brace, that brace will be filling out a 32nd note. So when Bach talks about the inexperienced player coming in too early with the brace and playing it contrary to the given rule in paragraph 10 too slowly, he is referring to Kissin, who himself is just playing it like everyone else would play it. Since this brace the large majority of time is done quickly. That is the rule given in paragraph 10. The secret to honouring that rule in paragraph 10, I'll say, give a little hint, is to always see that you play the brace as late as possible. The earlier you come in with a brace, the slower it's going to be. Naturally, it'll naturally be slow. And that leads to a bad look. As Lilliput's roll of honour has so extensively and successfully demonstrated. In all the, in the Les Bavol, Les Adieux, piano sonata, the introduction, or in the second movement, they display how bad those slow braces are. In the second movement of the pathétique example. And Kissin plays it like they all play it. And you can see the level of Bach and just what a state that the roll of honour are in a cage. They are not moving in the world of music at all. And you can, let's say, Kissin was performing before Bach, Mozart and Beethoven. And let's say he was playing Les Adieux, or he was playing the second movement of the Pathétique Sonata. And he played those slow braces. And let's say before he played, it was explained to Bach, Mozart and Beethoven who Kissin was and what he represented. And he represented the best of what we have to offer. Bach, Mozart and Beethoven they'd probably be amazed. They'd say, on a certain level, like, so this guy got to the very top ranks, and he can't even do that right. And they might look at each other and smirk at how bad it sounds, because if you actually wake up and listen to it and hear it, and you can compare it, like the second movement of the Pathétique Sonata, those braces, you can compare it to how I play them in the second version that I upload, and you can see how bad the roll of honour ones are. And they make the mistake of, when Bach is having his lesson with Kissin, he'll be telling the same things to Kissin that he'll be telling to somebody who he considers a novice or an inexperienced player, somebody who just has had no time doing it. He'll be telling him then the same things as them. And that's what I'd be telling Kissin too if I was giving him lessons. And what Bach would need to do with Kissin, he would not necessarily put it into words, but what he would need to do with Kissin is to, with Kissin, establish a connection to music. That is what Kissin has, no connection to music, and Bach would need to establish a connection to music with him, which he would be able to do. He would be able to give Kissin a connection to music, and Kissin would improve as a player, and he'd stop being a clone, just doing what everybody else doing, and he'd start being a grown-up. He'd start being an independent artist. And how is it? And Bach, Mozart and Beethoven will know it as music, as understanding music. All this that Bach is talking about, it's not belonging to a period. It is actually how music is played. And they will see Kissin as a treffer, as somebody who hits all the right notes, a fast player. But they won't give him the credit of what they'll give the highest musician. So this is a present that I'm providing here with what I'm saying. It would be a present for Kissin and present for everybody. Just like it was a present for me when Bach gave it to me. The brace coming in too early in the, like at the end of the Pathetique Sonata, that as well comes, in Kissin and everybody else's performance of it, it comes from not being able to play the rhythm properly of the notes before, and Kissin doesn't do it, which leads to the brace coming in too early, which leads to a slow brace, which leads to a bad look. And Kissin, again, he's just playing the rhythm like everybody plays it, because what's his goal? His goal is, he's not an artist. All his goal is to play it better, to be like the best student. And the student is, if the teacher leads him wrong, if the blind leading the blind, the student is blind. If the teacher is blind, the student will be blind too. So he copies everybody else's rhythm. He gets the rhythm wrong, which leads to the brace coming in too early, which leads to a slow brace, which makes it sound crap. And they might ask him, when Kissin plays it as it's meant to be played, and he realizes the difference. When Kissin plays it as it's meant to be played, and he realizes the difference. And if he was asked or to explain, like, how come you're playing it so crap? How come everybody plays it so crap? Kissin might say, well, that's because I come from Lilliput. And the thing about Lilliput, why people won't like my channel or what I'm saying or doing, is that the thing Lilliput hates most is to be made feel small. And that is why Lilliput hates the truth, and it hates the reality, because whenever the truth or reality comes in, they're made feel small, because they are small. And when you're in Lilliput, you will be small. You can get out of Lilliput and you can escape the cage, and you won't be small anymore, which means the truth, the reality won't make you feel small, because you won't be small. But Lilliput hates being made feel small. And Kissin will say that if they're asked, why did you play it that way by Bach, Mozart and Beethoven? Kissin will say, well, that's the way we taught you played it. And, I said before, like not understanding how Lilliput will flock to Lilliput even though there's giants around. And it's for that reason, because they don't want to be made feel small. So they'll flock to Lilliput. So what will have happened with all those things that are being played wrong, and I don't know how long they'll continue to be played wrong. It looks like forever. As much as this video will get, shown around or whatever, or seen. But Kissin will say to Bach, Mozart and Beethoven, you don't make us feel small. Because Kissin will realise there that the way he was playing the braces and the dotted rhythms and stuff, the way he eradicated the dotted rhythms, he will realise that that was his own mediocrity that he was listening to. And he would tell Bach and Mozart that he didn't realise it was his mediocrity. He thought it was their mediocrity he was listening to. And that is why Lilliput love Bach, Mozart and Beethoven, because they have imprinted, they have, planted their own put their stamp of mediocrity on it. And what happens is they get to, on the one hand, they think Bach, Mozart and Beethoven are geniuses. And on the other hand, they hear, what they hear in places is Lilliput mediocrity, which doesn't make them feel small, which makes them feel bigger. So they feel more evolved because they think the taste back then, they were a bit crap in certain ways. And we're superior to them, so they get to feel superior while thinking they're geniuses. So they're not made aware of how tiny they are, and that's why they love it. And all the mediocrity in Bach, Mozart, they attribute it to Bach and Mozart. I heard Glenn Gould talking about Mozart. His playing is nothing but mediocrity. And he is attributing to all his own mediocrity to Mozart. But it's not. Were I to play those, the example that Gould gives, you would hear the genius of Mozart in that. But in Gould, all you hear is Gould's mediocrity. And he attributes that to Mozart, and it makes him feel good, even, as a Lilliput midget. And that's why they don't question it. That's why they don't see how bad it is, that it's not music at all, what they're playing, that it's just notes and noise. That's the cage, and it is pathetic. And Bach, Mozart and Beethoven will think, that's the state of yous. 200 years from now, that's what you've become. And you have all those little Lilliput midgets thinking, if only Bach and Mozart and Beethoven could hear how well their music is being played nowadays, they'd be in for a rude awakening. When Bach, Mozart and Beethoven laugh, they look at each other and they laugh at how ridiculous it sounds. And Kissin, to a certain extent, he'll be aware of how ridiculous it sounds. And I can imagine there'd be something like that, the F major sonata by Mozart, the second movement, he won't play because it sounds too student-like, too amateurish for him. Because he does have a good, a good sense of that. Because he will play it amateurish and like a student, because he'll play it like everybody else plays it, but it doesn't sound like that in reality. So he'll be aware of that on a certain level. But he needs a grown-up to show him the truth. Yeah, so the top level of Lilliput's role and honour to Bach. Bach will classify them as novices, as people who know nothing with what he'd have to tell them. Das Versetzungszeichen bei dem Doppelschlage erkennt man, wie bei den Trillern, aus dem Vorhergehenden, aus der Folge und aus der Modulation. Diese Manier leidet ebenso wenig wie die Triller in sich eine überflüssige Sekunde. Tab 4, Figur 30, D. So just like the trill, one determines the accidentals from what comes before, what comes after, and from the modulation. It is from the modulation that Lilliput's roll of honour will have the most difficulty with. So it is from the modulation that Lilliput's roll of honour will have the most difficulty with. And it'll be the one depending on that they get wrong. So when it depends on the modulation, that's the one they'll get wrong. Since Lilliput's roll of honour has no conception of modulation. Surprise, surprise. Das nötige Schnellen bei dem Doppelschlage, wozu der kleine Finger nicht geschickt genug ist, erfordert zuweilen eine etwas weniges, gespannte Applikatur. Figur 62. So, a slightly stretched application of the fingers. Here I have to diverge from Bach. My playing, AC fingering, is living proof that the little finger is indeed skilled enough for the necessary hastening. It is the fourth finger on a white key that isn't. Were the fingering not slightly stretched? You see he uses 1, 2 and 3 instead of maybe 1, 2 and 4. So, and thus it's slightly stretched. Were the fingering not slightly stretched, one would be using the fourth finger for the B and 5, 4, 3 to perform the brace. And while it might seem there that the fifth finger is the problem, it is its combination with the fourth on all white notes that's the problem. The fourth hinders the little finger. With AC fingering, the solution to fingering, I'd potentially be using 5-3-2 to perform the brace, or 5-3-1. When the fourth finger is removed from the equation, all of a sudden, the little finger becomes extremely skilled. And you know, you can see my videos on AC fingering, and I combine AC fingering with the entire chapter of fingering from Bach's Versuch. And you can use AC fingering as you like with that passage, and I'll be using the little finger, and you can hear how it is superior to Bach's fingering in the results that it yields, in how it hastens the first note, you know, that necessary hastening of the notes. So that's that. So that's the lesson. Another lesson for Kissin that I mentioned at the beginning. When I started doing that would be coming at the start of these videos. And it probably won't be the last I'll do in connection with this revelation. But this, if you think how often, how many dotted rhythms, how much repertoire there is to rediscover with this in mind, that dotted rhythm in mind, with the dotted rhythm together with the brace coming after the dotted note, with the new understanding of the double dot. There's a lot of, period of discovery there for you. And you are being pointed in the right direction for the first time since I don't know how long. Yeah, so I don't know. Normally I should probably be happy, to have discovered all this, to be able to break this to the world. But I think I'm more angry at the so-called experts, who the imposters who wasted my time. All those in the world who are pretending they know better. I'm more angry because I have succeeded. I have reached there. I have found the correct answers. And you know what I found when I got there? I was alone. There was nobody there. All these people who are meant to be successful, they're nowhere to be seen. And that rather makes me feel angry at being cheated. I am more angry at their failure than I am at my success, because they don't go around like they failed, but they have, and they're wasting everybody's time. They're wasting your time. And I know you won't want to know it because, one, you won't want to feel small, but if you get out of Lilliput, that feeling small is going to go very quickly. The other thing is the Stockholm Syndrome is rampant in classical music. All the channels, all the videos, all the way that people talk, it's all this obsequious toady, or I don't know what the word is, ask your professor, or they'll know. No, they won't know. They haven't got a clue. None of them have a clue. None of them know music. It is a shambles. It is an epidemic. The classical music, the whole classical music thing has hit rock bottom. So there's so many reasons why the majority of people are not going to like this. But they are your captors. They are your abusers. They are the ones wasting your potential, wasting your talent, wasting your time, making you miserable. And what you will always experience in the cage is fear and frustration. And you'll go through honeymoon periods, periods where you take out the metronome and you're in the mood, just like people will clean to kind of absolve themselves of their sins, or to feel tired in the evening. You'll go through periods where you want to play with the metronome, do all the finger exercises, and you'll be motivated. And that's like a honeymoon thing. It only has a limited life to it, and there'll always come periods after where you want the results. and you can get to the point and where you sit at the piano and you don't even know what a mezzo piano is. And you're stuck and you get frustrated because you don't know how to play when something begins, let's say mezzo piano. You won't know how to do that. You won't be able to do that when you're in that stage where you've had enough of the cage, the delusion, the hamster wheel, and you want actual results. And can you see how ironic that is in an environment where there is only notes and noise? Like noise level, I heard somebody, who's meant to be like one of the best piano players of my generation in Ireland, talk about how he's fascinated with all sorts of pianissimo. That's the talk of somebody who's only ever dealt with notes and noise their entire life. And the thing is, they'll feel the fear when faced with a mezzo piano. They won't have a clue. And that's what it'll be like. That's what it's like. Just fear. I could put fear into Sokolov just with using the opening of that C major sonata with Mozart. I could put Sokolov in his place with that. That's the level of fear. That's the sort of fear Sokolov will be running away from, will be scared to face. I don't care about saying it. I don't care. I have the truth, the correct answer on my side. I have the monopoly on it. And deny yourself me, you'll be denying yourself the answers, the path out of the cage in the world of music, the path to being your own artist. And New Grove, that's just a collection of Lilliput. That can be stood as a monument to just how stupid, what failures Lilliput is, because that's just a collection of Lilliput professors who know nothing and who get it wrong. Yeah. That's it. Lilliput are too bad. I mean, they yeah, I get angry every time. Everywhere they fail, where they don't live up to what they pretend to be, it makes me angry. And I encounter that everywhere and all the time, because there is nothing. Their incompetence knows no bounds. There is no areas where their incompetence hasn't, seeped into. There is no breath of fresh air anywhere. Everywhere I look, it's just everything is marred, is vandalized, is defaced by Lilliput's mediocrity. So I don't know what'll stop me being angry. But it certainly won't be Lilliput and their roll of honour. Yeah, there'll be more. That's what I want to say. There'll be more, and yeah, and it'll be more that'll make me angry. Yeah, but at some point there has to come a revolution. It can't go on like that. Just You know, at some point the inbreeding has to come to an end. Okay, bye.